The gunshot echoes across Red Canyon before the sun even breaks the horizon. Eleanor Hartwell stands in the dirt, blood on her hands, smoke still rising from the barrel of her husband's Colt revolver. The man at her feet, Cyrus Blackwood, the most powerful mining magnate in Montana Territory, stares up at the sky with empty eyes. Behind her, flames consume his compound. Around her, bodies of corrupt lawmen sprawl in the dust. This is how it ends. But 3 weeks ago, Eleanor was just a widow at a funeral, and she had no idea her husband had been murdered. Before we dive in, drop a comment and let us know where you're watching from. We'd love to hear from you. If you enjoy Wild West stories like this, be sure to like the video, subscribe, turn on the notification bell, and share it with someone who would love it too. Riverside Cemetery, Montana Territory, September 1883. The wind cuts cold across the graves as Eleanor stands over fresh-turned earth. Her black veil hides her face, but not the way her hands tremble. Thomas Hartwell, her husband, her partner, the man who built a ranching empire from nothing, is in the ground, dead at 42. They're calling it a riding accident, a spooked horse, a broken neck. Quick, painless, but Eleanor doesn't believe it. Thomas was the best rider in 3 counties. He could break a wild Mustang before breakfast and still make it to town for a business meeting. The idea that his own horse had thrown him? It doesn't sit right. But grief is a strange thing. It makes you question everything, even the truth. Sheriff Wade Garrison approaches, hat in hand, his silver badge catching the light. He's tall, clean-shaven, the kind of man people trust. "Mrs. Hartwell," he says, voice smooth as whiskey, "if there's anything you need, anything at all." Eleanor nods, silent. Garrison shifts his weight. "I know this is hard, but running a ranch alone? It's dangerous work. It might be wise to consider selling. I know a few buyers who'd give you a fair price." Fair price. The words hang in the air like smoke. "I'll think about it," Eleanor says, her voice flat. Garrison tips his hat and walks away, but as he does, Eleanor notices something. At the edge of the cemetery, 3 men stand under a cottonwood tree. They're not dressed for a funeral. Dusty trail coats, gun belts low on their hips. They're not mourning, they're watching, and when Eleanor makes eye contact, one of them smiles. That night, the ranch feels like a tomb. Eleanor moves through the house alone, past the cold fireplace, past the empty chairs at the dining table. Thomas's office door creaks as she pushes it open. His desk is covered in paperwork, land deeds, cattle inventories, and letters from business partners. She starts sorting through it, trying to make sense of what's left behind. Then she finds it. A hidden compartment in the back of his desk drawer. It's subtle, designed to look like part of the wood grain. But when she presses it, the panel clicks, open. Inside, a leather-bound journal, a hand-drawn map, and a single bullet. Eleanor's breath catches. The bullet is spent, the casing dented, but there's something on it. Dried blood, fabric fibers. She turns it over in her fingers, then opens the journal. Thomas's handwriting stares back at her. September 10th, 1883. They know about the canyon. I must move it before... The entry ends. Abruptly, like someone interrupted him, or killed him. Eleanor's hands shake as she unfolds the map. It's crude, drawn in Thomas's hand, but clear enough. Red Canyon, disputed territory between 3 mining claims, and marked in the center, an X, gold. Her husband found gold, and now he's dead. The next morning, Eleanor takes the evidence to Sheriff Garrison. His office smells like cigars and old coffee. He leans back in his chair, boots up on the desk, as Eleanor lays out the journal, the map, the bullet. "Thomas didn't die in an accident," she says, voice steady. "He was murdered." Garrison picks up the bullet, examines it, then sets it down. Mrs. Hartwell, he says slowly, grief can play tricks on the mind. I've seen it before. People start seeing conspiracies where there's only tragedy. Then explain the bullet. Could be from anything. A hunting trip. Target practice. It has blood on it. Garrison's jaw tightens. Thomas was thrown from his horse. We found the body. There was a spent shell near the site, but that doesn't mean... Look at the map, Eleanor interrupts. Garrison glances at it. For just a second, something flashes in his eyes. Recognition. Then he looks away. Red Canyon's been disputed for years. Half the prospectors in Montana have maps like this. Doesn't mean there's gold. Eleanor leans forward. My husband died the day after he wrote that entry. You're telling me that's a coincidence? Garrison stands. I'm telling you to go home, Mrs. Hartwell. Mourn your husband. Don't chase ghosts. She gathers the evidence and leaves. But as she steps out of the office, she hears voices inside. Garrison's and another man's. She knows, the other man says. She doesn't know anything, Garrison replies. Not yet. Eleanor's blood runs cold. That night, they came for her. 3 riders, torches in hand. They don't knock. They don't warn. They just ride straight for the barn and throw the torches inside. Eleanor wakes to the smell of smoke and the sound of screaming horses. She grabs Thomas's rifle from the mantel and runs outside, barefoot, nightgown whipping in the wind. The barn is an inferno. Flames lick at the sky, and through the smoke she sees them. 3 masked men on horseback, circling like wolves. One of them raises a rifle. Eleanor dives behind a water trough as the shot rings out, wood splintering above her head. She aims the rifle, fires. The recoil slams into her shoulder, and one of the riders jerks back, clutching his arm. The other 2 wheel their horses and charge. Eleanor runs. She sprints for the house, slams the door, and bars it. Outside they're shouting, laughing. One of them fires into the door, the bullet punching through wood and embedding in the wall behind her. Then, silence. Eleanor presses her back against the wall, heart hammering. She hears hoofbeats, retreating, fading into the night. They didn't come to kill her. They came to scare her. And it worked. By morning, the barn is ash. The ranch hands are gone, too scared to stay. Eleanor stands alone in the wreckage, clutching the map and journal. She has no allies, no protection. And the men who killed her husband are still out there. That's when she sees it. In town. A wanted poster was nailed to the general store wall. Black Jack Dalton. 500 reward. Armed robbery. Wanted dead or alive. She remembers Thomas mentioning him once. Dalton's got a code, he'd said. Not like the others. Eleanor tears the poster down. If the law won't help her, maybe an outlaw will. She finds him in the Bitterroot Mountains, an abandoned mining camp, half buried in snow. Dalton sits by a fire, cleaning a revolver. He's older than the poster suggests. 38, maybe 40. Weathered, scarred, dangerous. Eleanor aims the rifle at him. I'm offering you a pardon, Mr. Dalton, she says. Earn it. Dalton looks up, and he laughs. Lady, he says, I don't know who you are, but you've got about 3 seconds to lower that rifle before I put you in the ground. Eleanor throws the map at his feet. Dalton's eyes flick to it, then narrow. That's Red Canyon, he says slowly. My husband found gold. Then he was murdered. The sheriff's involved. Maybe the whole town. Eleanor steps closer, rifle still raised. I need someone who knows how to survive out here, someone the law can't touch. Help me find the gold. Help me expose his killers, and I'll use every connection I have to clear your name. Dalton stares at her, then on the map. Finally, he holsters his gun. You've got yourself a deal, Mrs. Hartwell. So here's the question. Can a widow and an outlaw survive long enough to expose a conspiracy that reaches the highest levels of power? Or will they both end up buried in Red Canyon? The deal is struck in a dying mining camp. But trust is a luxury neither of them can afford. Eleanor and Dalton ride back to the ranch under the cover of darkness, the map folded tight in Eleanor's coat pocket. They don't speak. Not yet. Because out here, words can get you killed just as fast as bullets. And both of them know that whatever Thomas found in Red Canyon, it's worth more than gold. It's worth blood. The question is, whose blood will be spilled first? Back at the ranch, they spread the map across Thomas's desk. The lamplight flickers, casting shadows that dance across the crude markings. Dalton traces a finger along the canyon's edge. "Your husband was smart," he says. "Red Canyon's disputed territory. 3 mining claims overlap there. No one can work it legally without triggering a war." Eleanor opens Thomas's journal, reading aloud. "September 8th. I found it. Spanish colonial cash, buried deep. Enough to change everything. But Garrison knows. He wants 60%. I refused." Dalton looks up. "You refused a corrupt sheriff? That's how you get killed in Montana Territory." Eleanor's jaw tightens. Thomas believed in the law. He thought filing proper mineral rights would protect him. And where's Thomas now? The silence is brutal. Dalton flips through more pages. Says here he was being followed. By who? Eleanor points to another entry. He doesn't name them. But 2 days before he died, he wrote this. Saw Garrison with Blackwood at the Silver Dollar Saloon. They didn't see me. Whatever they're planning, it's bigger than extortion. Cyrus Blackwood. Dalton's voice drops. Now that's a name I know. Mining magnate. Owns half the claims in the territory. Ruthless. If he's involved, this isn't just about gold. It's about control. Eleanor meets his eyes. Then we find the gold. We expose them. And we make them pay. Dalton leans back, studying her. You're not just looking for justice, are you? You want revenge. Wouldn't you? He doesn't answer. But the look in his eyes says everything. The next morning, they scout Red Canyon on horseback. The terrain is brutal. Jagged cliffs, loose rock, and rattlesnakes coiled in the shade. Eleanor's never been out here before. Thomas always handled the dangerous work. But now? She's learning fast. Dalton teaches her to read the land, to spot fresh tracks, to listen for sounds that don't belong. And then they see it. Mining equipment. Fresh timber. Wagon ruts cut through the dirt. Someone's already working the claim. Illegally. Dalton pulls his horse up short, hand on his revolver. We're not alone. They dismount, tie the horses, and move on foot. Crouched low, they creep along the canyon rim until they spot them. 6 men working below, hauling ore from a hidden shaft. And standing at the center of it all, giving orders, Sheriff Wade Garrison. Eleanor's breath catches. There he is. The man who promised to protect her. The man who dismissed her husband's murder. And standing beside him, in a tailored suit that looks absurd in the wilderness, is Cyrus Blackwood. Dalton grabs Eleanor's arm, pulls her down behind a boulder. They're close enough now to hear voices. The widow's more trouble than the husband, Blackwood says, lighting a cigar. Finish it. Garrison nods. I'll handle her. Quietly. No. Blackwood blows smoke into the wind. Make it public. Outlaw attack. She's been seen with that criminal Dalton. Frame it as justice. Eleanor's hands curl into fists. Dalton sees it, shakes his head. Not yet. But Eleanor's not listening. She's done hiding. She stands up, and a rock shifts under her boot. The sound is small, but in the canyon it echoes like a gunshot. Every man below looks up. Run! Dalton shouts. Bullets tear through the air as they sprint for the horses. Eleanor's never moved this fast in her life. Boots, pounding dirt, lungs burning, the sound of rifle fire cracking behind her. Dalton fires back without looking, covering her retreat. They reach the horses, mount up, and ride. But Garrison's men are already mounted too. A chase through Red Canyon, narrow passages, sheer drops. Eleanor's horse leaps a ravine, lands hard, and keeps running. Behind her, one of Garrison's men isn't so lucky. His horse stumbles, and he goes over the edge, screaming. Dalton cuts left into a slot canyon. Eleanor follows. The walls close in around them, so narrow that their stirrups scrape rock. And then, a dead end. "Get down," Dalton shouts. They dismount, take cover behind a fallen boulder. 4 riders appear at the canyon mouth, rifles raised. "Nowhere to run now, Dalton," one of them shouts. Dalton checks his revolver. 5 bullets left. He looks at Eleanor. "Can you shoot?" "I killed a man 3 nights ago, so yes." He tosses her a pistol. "Then let's make this expensive for them." The first rider charges. Dalton drops him with a single shot. The second fire misses. Eleanor shoots back. The bullet catches him in the shoulder and he falls. 2 left, but they're smart. They dismount, take cover, and start firing strategically. Bullets chip the boulder, ricochet. One grazes Eleanor's arm, and she gasps, clutching the wound. Dalton sees it. Something shifts in his face. "Stay down," he growls, and then he does something insane. He stands up, fully exposed, and walks toward them, firing. 1 shot, 2, 3. Both men drop. Silence. Eleanor stares at him, blood dripping down her arm. "You could have been killed." Dalton reloads without looking at her. "So could you." They ride out of the canyon with a bag of gold ore. Proof. But Eleanor's bleeding, and Dalton's face is grim, because they both know this was just the opening move. The real war is coming. They return to town, but it's not the same town Eleanor left. Something's changed. Garrison made his move. Posters line the streets. Eleanor's face, and beneath it, wanted, consorting with known criminals, armed and dangerous. People stare as she rides past. Women she's known for years cross the street to avoid her. The general store owner won't meet her eyes. Even the pastor turns his back. Garrison's turned the entire town against her. Eleanor feels it. The isolation. The fear. She's become the villain in her own story. But then someone steps out of the shadows. Deputy Carl. Young. Nervous. He glances around, then hands Eleanor a folded paper. "Your husband didn't die in an accident," he whispers. "Garrison ordered it. I heard him. I was there." Eleanor's heart pounds. "Then testify." "I can't. Garrison owns the judge, owns the mayor. I'd be dead before sunset." He glances at the paper. "But that's everything I know. Names, dates, where the orders came from. It's not much, but it's something." He disappears before Eleanor can thank him. She unfolds the paper, and there it is. Written proof, Garrison's signature on. An order dated the day before Thomas died. "Handle the Hartwell problem, permanently." But before she can process it, gunfire erupts. Deputy Carl collapses in the street, blood spreading across his chest. Garrison's men step out of the saloon, guns smoking. Eleanor reaches for her pistol, but Dalton grabs her. "Not here, not now. We need that gold. Carl just died giving us evidence. And you'll die too if we don't move. Now." They ride, hard, back to Red Canyon. Using Thomas's map, they navigate deeper into the canyon than before. Past the illegal mining operation, past the fresh graves Garrison's men left behind, until they find it. A collapsed mine shaft, hidden behind a rock slide. The entrance is barely wide enough for a man to crawl through. Dalton lights a torch. "You sure about this?" Eleanor's already moving. "My husband died for this. I'm seeing it through." They crawl inside. The air is thick, suffocating. The tunnel narrows, then opens into a cavern, and there, stacked against the walls like a fever dream, are crates, dozens of them, stamped with Spanish colonial markings. Dalton pries one open. Gold bars, coins, jewelry, a fortune. "This is it," Eleanor whispers. "This is what they killed him for." But Dalton's face is dark. It's not just the gold. If Blackwood's working this claim illegally, and word gets out, his entire mining empire collapses. Every land deed, every claim he's ever filed, all fraudulent. Eleanor understands now. Thomas wasn't killed for treasure. He was killed to protect a lie. And that lie is worth millions. They're packing samples when they hear it. Voices. Footsteps. Garrison's men. Dalton extinguishes the torch. They press against the cavern wall, hidden in darkness. Deputy Carl's information wasn't enough. It was a trap. And Eleanor and Dalton just walked into it. So here's what you need to ask yourself. How do you fight an enemy who controls the law, the town, and the truth? And when the walls close in, literally and figuratively, do you surrender? Or do you burn it all down? Trapped in a collapsed mine with enemies closing in, no escape route, limited ammunition, and a fortune in gold that might as well be a death sentence. This is where most stories end. But Eleanor Hartwell isn't most people anymore. Dalton presses a finger to his lips as the footsteps grow closer. 3 men, maybe 4, moving through the tunnel with torches. Their shadows flicker against the cavern walls like demons. Eleanor's heart hammers so loud she's sure they can hear it. Her hand tightens around the pistol Dalton gave her. She's got 4 bullets left. Dalton has 3, 7 bullets. 4 men. Maybe more outside. The math doesn't work. But then Dalton does something unexpected. He picks up a gold bar, heavy, solid, and hurls it deep into the darkness of the cavern. It clatters against rock, echoing like thunder. The footsteps stop, then change direction, moving toward the sound. Dalton grabs Eleanor's hand and pulls her the opposite way, deeper into the mine, away from the main tunnel. They crawl through a narrow passage, so tight Eleanor's shoulders scrape stone, until they emerge into another chamber. Smaller, ancient, and with a crack in the ceiling, letting in a sliver of daylight. "Can you climb?" Dalton whispers. Eleanor looks up. 20 feet of sheer rock face. Handholds that might crumble. A gap barely wide enough to squeeze through. "I don't have a choice, do I?" Dalton smiles, grim but real. "Now you're thinking like an outlaw." They climb. Eleanor's arms shake. Her wounded arm screams in protest. Below she hears shouting. The men have discovered the diversion. They're coming back. Dalton reaches the top first, extends a hand. Eleanor grabs it. He pulls her through just as a gunshot rings out, the bullet sparking off the rock where her foot was seconds before. They roll onto the canyon floor, gasping. The sun is setting. Blood-red light spills across the landscape, and standing 50 yards away, arms crossed, is Sheriff Wade Garrison. He's not alone. 6 men flank him, rifles raised, and behind them, sitting on horseback like a king surveying his kingdom, is Cyrus Blackwood. "Mrs. Hartwell," Blackwood calls out, voice smooth as silk. "You've led us on quite the chase. I admire your tenacity, but this is where it ends." Eleanor stands, dust-covered, bleeding, but defiant. "You killed my husband." "I did." Blackwood doesn't even flinch. "Thomas was a good man, honest, principled, and that made him dangerous. He found the gold, wanted to file legal claims. Do you understand what that would have meant? Every mining operation I've built, every land deed, every contract has been scrutinized, exposed, my empire gone. So yes, I had him killed, just like I'm about to have you killed." Garrison steps forward. "It's over, Eleanor. Drop the gun." But Eleanor doesn't drop it. She aims it straight at Blackwood. You think you've won? I sent Deputy Carl's evidence to the territorial marshal in Helena. Every name, every date, every order you gave. It's already out of your hands. Blackwood's smile falters, just for a second. Garrison looks at him. She's bluffing. Am I? Eleanor's voice is ice. Carl died getting me that information. You think I'd let it go to waste? The standoff stretches, tension thick enough to choke on, and then a sound in the distance. Hoofbeats, lots of them. Everyone turns, riders crest the ridge, a dozen men. But these aren't lawmen. They're outlaws. Rough, hard, dangerous, and leading them, grinning like the devil himself, is a scarred man with a bandana pulled low, Dalton's crew. Told you I had friends, Dalton mutters. Blackwood's face drains of color. Garrison, handle this. But Garrison's men are already backing away. They signed up to intimidate a widow, not to fight a war. Dalton's outlaws charge. What follows is chaos. Gunfire, dust, men screaming. Eleanor dives behind a boulder as bullets tear through the air. Dalton's beside her, reloading fast, firing faster. One of Garrison's men goes down, then another. Blackwood tries to flee on horseback, but one of Dalton's crew lassos him, drags him off the saddle. Garrison sees the tide turning. He pulls his revolver and runs, not toward the fight, but toward Eleanor. You did this! He screams, firing wildly. Eleanor rolls, aims, fires. The bullet catches Garrison in the leg. He collapses, clutching the wound. Eleanor stands over him, pistol aimed at his head. You killed my husband, she says quietly. You destroyed his name, and you tried to bury the truth. Garrison looks up, eyes wide with fear. Please, I was just following orders. Blackwood, he made me. I don't care. Eleanor pulls the trigger. Click. Empty. Garrison laughs, desperate, hysterical. You can't do it. You're not like us. Eleanor drops the gun. You're right. I'm worse. She pulls a knife from her boot, Thomas's knife, and drives it into Garrison's shoulder. He screams. She leans close. You're going to live, and you're going to testify, because I want the world to know exactly who you are. By the time the dust settles, Blackwood is in chains. Garrison's bleeding, but alive. The territorial marshal arrives within the hour. Eleanor's letter reached him before the ambush. Deputy Carl's evidence, combined with Garrison's coerced confession, dismantles the entire conspiracy. 7 corrupt officials were arrested. Blackwood's empire seized. And the gold? Legally awarded to Eleanor as Thomas's heir. 2 weeks later, Hartwell Ranch. The barn's been rebuilt. The ranch hands have returned. Eleanor stands on the porch, watching the sun set over land that's finally truly hers. She's changed. Harder, colder, but alive. Dalton rides up, saddlebags packed. Leaving? Eleanor asks. Pardon came through. I'm a free man. He dismounts, hands her an envelope. Your father's judicial connections work fast. Eleanor smiles, small but genuine. You earned it. Did I? Dalton looks at the horizon. I've spent 10 years running. Don't know how to stop. Eleanor steps closer. You could stay. Help me run this place, legitimately. For a moment, Dalton almost says yes. Almost. But then he shakes his head. You don't need me, Eleanor. You never did. Maybe not, but I'd like you here anyway. Dalton tips his hat. You're going to be just fine, Mrs. Hartwell. He mounts his horse, pauses. Your husband would be proud. And then he rides off. Eleanor watches until he's just a speck on the horizon. She turns back to the ranch, pulls out a new survey map, the gold claim, the expanded territory. She's not just preserving Thomas's legacy anymore. She's building an empire. But as the camera pulls back, we see something Eleanor doesn't. A figure on the ridge, watching, Waiting. The man dismounts, pulls out a photograph, Cyrus Blackwood, and scrawled on the back, "Make her pay." Blackwood's brother has come for revenge. So here's the final question. Eleanor survived the conspiracy. But can she survive what's coming next? Because in the Wild West, justice doesn't end a story. It just starts a new one. If you want to see Eleanor's next fight, if you want to know whether she defeats Blackwood's brother or if her empire crumbles, drop a comment below and let us know. Should we continue the Widow's Bounty saga? Your voice decides what story we tell next. And if this story kept you on the edge of your seat, smash that like button. Subscribe for more untold tales from the Wild West, and share this with someone who loves a story about grit, revenge, and redemption. Because legends aren't born in peace, they're forged in fire. Thanks for watching, and remember, out here, the only law that matters is the one you make yourself.